All right, we'll call to order. It is 10 o'clock. We have everybody present. Will please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
All right, thank you. I'll entertain a motion to accept the staff report or to amend.
I'll make the motion. We accept the staff report for December.
All right, we've got a motion to accept.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. All right, motion carries 5-0. Everybody got a chance to look at the minutes from last time? Does anybody have any corrections? I do have one correction. Under communications, this is Cassie Brown Planner reported the following applications were discussed by the Board of County P and Z Commissioners. That should just be the Board of County Commissioners. Anybody else have anything else? All right, do we have a motion to accept as amended?
I'll make a motion to accept the report as amended.
No second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, motion carries 5-0. All right, turn the time over for board actions. You doing that, Cassidy?
That's me, Mr.
Wow.
Chairman.
Okay.
Okay, so our first hearing is going to be, so these are all tied together, just so,
What about for the last Board of Commissioners?
oh, sorry. I thought I was ready to go.
Yeah.
This is- Okay, hold on, let me go back.
Pump the brakes a little.
Okay. Yeah, so the zone map amendment, the agriculture on I-2 to I-2 was approved, and then the language amendments that the Planning and Zoning Commission did approve and move on. Certified recommendation was also, the notice of intent was approved. So be a 45-day comment period. And after that 45-day comment period, we will have a hearing and then adopt that language. So didn't have any issues or any amendments to that language when before the Board of County Commissioners. So
Okay.
that's all.
Maybe work trying getting us to get together so we can work on that
Yep.
part that we left hanging.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. So been pretty busy. So I'll do that when I can.
Yeah.
Have an industrial siting. So a lot of stuff going on.
All right, well, thank you. All right, we'll get to the public hearing portion. We'll turn the time back over to Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay. So I want to talk about all three hearings actually, and I just want to state that I do want to get through all the hearings today. There's some issues, and we're going to have some public comment. You're going to hear some of the issues that are going on with as far as vacation. Not really as much with the zone change. It would be better if it's commercial. It just makes sense. And put our problem solving hats on today and try to get through these. My goal is to get everything out there so we can kind of hammer through them and make sure everything, so the applicant's aware of what they need to do as far as moving forward. So let's start with the first thing, which is the vacation. So if, what we can always do, and I don't have John here, but we can always open up the other hearings so that we can get through all of them if we get stuck on the vacation, so that everything is heard, Mr. Chairman. So we'll get through it, but let's start with the vacation. So the property owner is Stuart Grow and Corner Property. So it does involve two properties. It's 8.55 acres of land located in the northwest quarter of Section 7, Township 18 North, Range 107 West. The current zoning There's a long history with this subdivision plat we could spend a long time on, that we're glad that this is a partial vacation. Ultimately, we would like to see the whole thing vacated at some point in time. But first step forward in rectifying some of those issues out there. This is a plat that was never developed due to bankruptcy issues back in the past. This is a long time ago, and it's just been out there. So cleanup of the area will be great. Infrastructure that's out there, Jamestown Water is the water and sewer district out there. It is proposed septic because we do not have sewer out there yet. And Green River Fire is a responder, Rocky Mountain Power, and then proposed access off of Highway 30. So as you can see here, there are 2 properties involved here. So what you're seeing, Stewart and Corner Properties, Stewart is a part of Corner Properties LC, and involves that. So it's actually involving 2 properties of vacation, and it'll involve those tracks all the way up to here, part of that road there, some of the lots in the front here, and then these lots along here. I'm just showing you the plat so you know kind of what's going on here. Some of the concerns that have come up. It's pretty straightforward as far as how vacations work. But one of the concerns always is you want to make sure that you're not wiping out anyone's rights that are in there. There were a few issues seem like we've resolved as far as Mark Berry with Lumen Communications. So what you're seeing on this plat is they're proposing Mr. Grow and Maverick to vacate this 30-foot utility and drainage easement in the front. And then there's also this easement that goes across the property here. That is also being proposed to be vacated. And then what the applicant is proposing to do so that this parcel behind it, or the what remains after this, is accessed, that there is a 70-foot public access easement so that if this property gets developed in the back, that they have access to that, right? So right now it's public access, but it will be privately maintained. So it won't be a county road. This is the original plat. Whoops. So when you look at, there's the tracks that are in front and then the road going in. So we're looking at vacating these tracks across here, this road, and then a portion of this tract here, tract 4, I think it is. And then this access easement that not access easement, drainage and utility easement that's coming across here is this easement right here. Okay. So they were just aware of what's being, okay. Then there's also a drainage and utility easement that's in the front here on the tracks 1 through 3. That's what's being vacated here. See that in the front? Does not go all the way across because that road, see how it abruptly ends right here? That platted road is right in here. So they're proposing to vacate those easements in here. I believe the only one that's remaining is the one that's right here. So all these lots that are within this tracks and easements, in inclusion with that too, just so everybody's aware, there's a note on this plat where there are down here where there are 5-foot drainage and utility easements that are also being proposed to be vacated that are not actually shown on the lots, but they're down here in the note. And so that's also being proposed to, it makes sense that since the lots are going away, there's no need to have those easements on there. There's the letter from Hunt Day Engineering, Civil Engineering, requesting on behalf of Corner Properties to vacate that. So some of the concerns that have come up, Jamestown Rio Vista is a party to the plat. They own lots within there. As a matter of fact, let me just do this. Indulge me here, and I'm going to pull up our map server. Is it? Okay. So there you can see. You can see the plat. It's a little messy, as you can see. We've got meets and bounds descriptions on top of the plat, and then you got the plat underneath it. Part of that, I think, was due to bankruptcy proceedings. It's such a long, long time ago in the 80s. And so this is the two properties we're talking about where the plat's being, portions of it are being vacated. Jamestown, Rio Vista does own lots that are there. Now you can see them.
Can you enlarge that a little bit?
Sure. Whoa. So as you can see, they have these lots in here. And then the rest of what's not highlighted is owned by Rofam, which Mr. Grow is a part of, also that company also, and is also online to speak on behalf of them too. So there's some issues as far as that we've discussed with Maverick and Stewart that Jamestown has some concerns. There's still a full assessment that needs to be paid on the property. That's still outlying out there. That also needs to be taken care of. I don't know the amounts, but that is in the title report. I believe that's an issue that can be resolved and can be conditioned as part of the final plat permit when we get to that. But the basically what Jamestown is requesting is a meeting between Mr. Grow and them to resolve these issues because they're having a difficult time to be able to access these lots the way things are laid out. And so, and Steve Palmer, their attorney, is online too and could probably articulate better than I can some of the other issues with that. That meeting has not occurred. And so that's their concern moving forward. They also have to sign off. Since they are party to the vacation, they don't want to see this proceed any further until these issues are resolved. I did talk to Mr. Grow right before the meeting. He confirmed that they will be having a meeting on the 14th, which I believe is next week, and have those discussions. So that's a step in the forward direction. But just to note that those issues are out there. The other issue is Project West. So in that front easement that I was showing you on the plat, hold on. Where is it, Cassidy? Stafford. Oh, it's right here. Is that Stafford? Okay. There is an existing 30-foot easement that's in the front that will be vacated. Now, Project West, as far as a permanent easement goes, they want a 25-foot in the front here to accommodate their easement, a water line easement for their project. I mean, it's the life and blood of their project, right? So they have concerns too, because they are in negotiations that is going on. That issue is still out there. So that's another issue that's to be resolved. Because if you do vacate the plat, there are existing drainage and utility easements here because they need to get across not only just where the Maverick is, but they need to get all the way. I'm not sure how far. I think I don't have their Project West plans, but they do need to get across all these properties to get to the river, to cross the highway and then get to the river going down the county road. So when you vacate those easements that are on here, that would reduce any possibility. I mean, they could actually technically utilize these utility easements right now, but their preference is to have that water line easement in the front. So that's the other outlying issue out there. So
Now their easement would go the whole length of that, correct? Project West? Does this just stop and
yeah,
work
because
its way down? Yeah.
right. Because on the front there, you can see on this original plat that it comes across here in the front, right, on 1, 2, and 3. Then you got the road.
Yep.
And then you got that other drainage utility easement that takes you to that Oxbow Drive. You see that, Casey?
I don't see, it's not showing another easement on here that I see. We're at,
So just look up on the drawing up on here. And so on the front of the property here, 1 through 3.
Yep.
Okay, so that's that 30-foot existing. So this is the original plat right now. Then you got the road right there. You
Yep.
see that?
yep,
So you're right. There's nothing that comes across the front of here.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to work with Mr. Grow to continue that on.
okay.
What I'm saying is technically speaking, you've got a 30-foot drainage and utility easement here, got a road, and then you got another drainage and utility easement that's
Yeah,
existing right
okay.
now. So it takes you to Oxbow Drive.
Okay, I
Okay,
get it now.
okay, thanks.
Thanks, Eric.
Yep, you bet. There's some, this is just a list, when we did the staff report, some of these issues have been addressed as far as the plat goes, but I wanted to just highlight as far as the vacation goes, and we can get into this more when we get to the final plat, since a lot of this pertains actually to the plat, but the two really big issues here, just getting those issues resolved with Project West, which county would like to see happen, and then also the issues with Jamestown Rio Vista. And I'm going to kind of just end there, Mr. Chairman, and answer any questions. And then I don't really have a recommendation until we hear from those entities too. Because I know there's I've talked to Mr. Palmer, there's issues there with Jamestown and such. So I'm going to end right there, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thanks, Eric. This time we'll have the applicant step forward, and if you can address us and tell us who you are for the record, and tell us if there's anything you want to add or emphasize, I guess.
Go ahead.
Todd Myers, 185 South State Street, Salt Lake City, Utah. Employee of Maverick. Probably most of these questions need to go to the property owner, Stuart Crow, but happy to dive into the Maverick application if you'd like. I mean, our request is for the rezone and the subdivision so that we can build a Maverick store. Very similar zoning and use across the street. So I think it goes well together, and with the location by the interstate, I think it'll be successful for Maverick and the county. The accesses on the property, the one street on the one plat that's being vacated, that's being moved because it does not align up with the Love's truck stop. And so with YDOT, they've laid out where these accesses can be. The old plat, I believe, had 4 different accesses onto YDOT Street. However, those have not been permitted. And originally, when we started, it was okay. The property owner wanted us to permit all of those going across. However, YDOT does not want to do that until they know land uses. So YDOT's very on board with as far as the access that goes directly into the Maverick, the northern one. And then we also have the next one. And that is now currently shown on the Maverick parcel. Originally, we were showing that as being a public right-of-way that Maverick would dedicate, build to county standards, and would open up the area to all of that remaining property. The county did not want to go that route. They wanted it to be just an easement that is on Maverick's property. And so that's how we've gotten to where we're at with this plat.
Okay.
Any questions? Or
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
I'm sitting here listening to this, and I just think we're putting the cart before the horse. I mean, there's some issues here that have to be resolved with the easements and the access for uh, the water board out there. And until those get resolved, I don't see how this can go forward. I mean, I'm diving into this cold, so I'm trying to understand, and maybe I'm a little slow on this one, but it seems like it's really ahead. I want Maverick to go in there. I want them to be able to develop it, but you also have to keep in mind that these people need access to the water district needs access. The easements need to be done. I don't see how this can proceed until all those get resolved. Tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm going in this a little bit colder than I usually do.
I understand you completely. I'm a former city planner. I was blown away when the county said, no, we don't want you to dedicate a public right of way. It's like, wow, there's a lot of property there. Why would you not? And so that was kind of a shocker to myself, but the county has asked us to do it this way. And so that's what we're offering up. As far as the water line on the north end, it's kind of an interesting situation because who do they negotiate with? Do they negotiate with the current property owner? He's the one that has the rights to it. But we also have a purchase and sales agreement that says we get to be a party to that.
Yeah.
And we've had several meetings, group meetings with the property owner and that company that's doing it. And what we have done is we have adjusted our site plan. We've pulled our site back so that easement that they're requesting will not have any improvements on it, except for our access coming in. Now that's going to increase our costs because of the topography out there.
Yes.
But they are doing some compensation for the purchase of that easement. It's not much, but also the topography grading is not that bad either. So it's kind of a wash there. I am surprised how long this project has taken. I would have thought by now we would have been owners of that property and we could have dealt directly with them and got this taken care of.
Well, do you realize though also that, you're going to have to bring sewer out there? And I mean, the sewer
System.
I would talk to the people across the street and see how their septic system's working before you commit to that.
You bet.
Yeah. I don't want you to go in there blind either,
Oh, we are very well aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to listen more. I'm asking these questions because I don't know. And then Eric, I'm really uncomfortable with this one here. Sorry,
All right, any other questions?
Just for Eric, so as we're looking at this vacation part of it, the rest of the plat that's out there is going to continue to be the same, just it's
Yeah,
not going to be
so-
cleaned up.
So I've spoken with Stuart Grow about this, and the county would like to see Mr. Grow after this process. I'd like to say, hey, today, can we just, because I actually got an agreement from Stuart, we've been talking for 10, 15 years to vacate the rest of it. And we advertised for just this portion, and so we have to go through that process, so whether we can do a condition of this for Mr. Grow to come back in after the plat, because we have to advertise it. I'm just talking about what's outside of Maverick subdivision now,
Right.
To vacate the rest of that plat, because it would just clean that up. And Mr. Grow benefits from that because then when he comes in for a permit, we're not doing this all over again.
Right.
And I understand the applicant's frustrated, staff's frustrated, Mr. Grow's frustrated, everybody's frustrated because a lot of the issues have been this underlying plat has been an issue. And you got multiple zonings going on and all that. So understand everybody being frustrated with this process and it is a one lot subdivision that Mr. Myers is correct. It's taken a year to get it to this point. Not going to go through everything as to the whys, and doesn't matter. That's where we're at right now. So how can we move forward? And that's a good question. And need to probably hear from Stuart as far as the Jamestown issue goes, and where we're at with that. But and then where things are at with Project West. Those have to come from you know, I've heard from Mr. Rude, but the applicant and where things are at and to make you guys feel comfortable moving forward. I think those are the two pressing issues out there. So,
With this partial vacation,
yeah,
it's gonna be then bisecting existing lots, and so you're gonna
yep.
end up with lots that do not meet zoning regulations, right?
Well, they don't anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. This was done in the 80s, and so they don't, you know, and I've told Mr. Grow that too, that, you know, the way this thing sits right now, it's not buildable. You know, the lot sizes that are on here, they're too small, you know, and just from a market standpoint, they're don't know what the plan would even be for something that small. And obviously without sewer there's no way that's going to happen, but it's going to have to eventually be, you know, if there is residential development behind Maverick at some point, it'd have to be platted anyway. It wouldn't be able to do what it's doing here. But Mr. Chairman, I agree with you. That's why we want to see the rest of the plat, you know, whether it's a condition that Mr. Grow comes back in, or just applies before the Board of County Commissioner meeting, a letter stating that he will vacate the rest of the plat. Be okay with that too.
Okay, just to clarify, say if they wanted to just vacate everything right now, how long would that process be so we could start with the clean slate?
If they vacated all of it,
Yes.
it's not a very long process. That's the whole thing. I mean, it's 2 hearings and it's done. Now you got to make sure, you know, and I don't know what's out there because we haven't looked at the rest of the plat. So like when you get down by the railroad and stuff, I don't know if there's stuff in there. Lumen's been great to work with because they do have some fiber out there that's been of concern. One of the concerns is there was a line when they did a call to locate, there was some flagging there. And I spoke with Greg about this too, to make sure that there's not utilities that are just out there in no sorts of easements. And so Mark Berry sent me some correspondence back, said, hey, that's why that one easement is staying in place is for Lumen. And so just wanted to make, because their intention is to abandon the line that's out there. Their biggest concern is don't mess with our fiber in Highway 374. You know, and their Alta survey, you know, that Day Engineering did shows that outside of that fiber. Their biggest concern is the fiber in the front there. Okay. So, yeah, I want to see it all cleaned up just as you do. So I don't know if that answered your question.
So if they vacated everything, I mean,
Yeah.
vacated everything, and they had right away for Rio Vista, and then the easement for the water, this would be cleaned up, correct? Is that what I'm getting, Eric, or is there more to it than that?
No. So the as far as that water line easement goes, they want it in the front of the property. As
Okay.
far as that goes. Okay. So that's their ultimate goal for Project West is they want a 25-foot permanent easement.
Yeah.
They're going to have to do a temporary construction easement also. You know how that goes,
Yeah.
Casey.
Yes.
You'll have to do probably a 40 to 50 foot so you can lay equipment down and you know, that's a
They want a
temporary,
25
and that's not a
permanent.
platted issue, right? So that's going to be outside of that. But no, that's not going to clean anything up. I mean, as far as that water line easement goes, yeah, the issue is because they want that in the front so they can
Okay.
so they can get to it and work on it if they have to. That's where they want it.
Then Rio Vista, they want their access, and I get that they need the access. So
Yeah, as far as and that's on this other portion of the plat that I showed you on that.
but if you vacated everything, it would be easier to.
Yeah. I mean, they're wanting, and that's really for Jamestown to say because I'm not totally 100% sure. Because ultimately the goal is to have some lots out there that work.
Yeah.
Both for Mr. Grow and for Jamestown because it doesn't work the way it is right now. And you know that probably is going to be a platting process to do that.
Yeah.
You know, its own platting process to do that. So probably that portion of the plat that would have to probably remain until some things happen. That might be the question that you're asking. So if those other lots that I showed you, that's probably going to have to be a vacate and plat when it's worked out. Yeah. It's not an easy area. And 20 years to get here, but we've known these issues have been out there. It's just,
Well, you know me, I'm
Okay.
all for growth and I'm all for Maverick.
Yeah,
and the
absolutely.
builder, and
yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out a way, just like I said, going in this cold, I'm just trying to think of a way that they could move forward, and I don't want them to be, totally say, okay, throw our hands up and be done, or with the proposed subdivision, you want that to move forward. I'm just trying to, Eric, I feel bad for you. You've been dealing with this for a lot longer than us.
The issue is, Project West County has worked with Project West side by side, going through the permitting. That has been years of process, and through industrial siting and all that, we have thousands of jobs coming in. So that is an important project for Sweetwater County, as we know, because of with our economy and things that have happened with
Yeah.
coal,
Yeah.
right? So we want this. This is great. I mean, it's competition. It's great to have commercial activity out there, but we just need the issue resolved with Project West, and we need the issue resolved with Jamestown.
Mhm.
Now, if we set, can they have this resolved by Friday? So that when we get out, or by Monday, let's say by next Monday, as a deadline before the next commissioner meeting, because I don't want to get to the commissioner meeting. There's still other issues out there, and we'll get to it on the plat. But as far as the vacation goes right now, get those issues resolved can they be resolved between Jamestown and Project West? I don't know. That's up to the applicant.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, anything else from, you're an applicant? If you can come and address us.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Great day. Hunt Day Engineering, one of the principal engineers, 3445 Antelope Drive, Syracuse, Utah. I want to speak a little bit to a few of the concerns. And I think to the commissioner's question, this has been going on for quite a year. And I think I could fairly represent there's quite a bit of frustration on our part, not directed at any particular individual, but the process itself. So we talk about the vacation of the whole thing and cleaning that up. That actually is what our initial application was. We applied to vacate the entire subdivision. Now, there's some complexities with that I think are being glossed over, is because you can't just vacate, you have to replace, is what we've been told. I'm not an expert in Sweet County Water Code, but we have to replace it. So if we're to vacate the entire covered wagon subdivision, we have to replace it with something. We cannot get rid of accesses. So the covered wagon subdivision shows 4 accesses going onto Highway 374. We then have to approach YDOT with 4 accesses. We then have to do a comprehensive study of what the proposed uses are so that they can verify those accesses are appropriate. Once we apply for a permit, we have to actually construct the accesses. So YDOT does not want to give us any other accesses than ones we want to build. And Maverick doesn't want to build any that they're not going to use. And Stewart doesn't know what's going to happen on the remaining subdivision. In addition to that, you brought up the issue with the septic and sewer. So if we were to vacate and replace it, we now have to solve a 30-year problem, 40 acres of sewer issues. And that's really not productive for Maverick to bring in. And so the idea of vacating the whole thing, I'm not opposed to it. It's just, if you're going to ask me now to fix all these issues, I just think it's not worthwhile to put a Maverick there, and we'll move on and we'll go find another site. Well, we then, the staff was gracious enough to say to us, why don't we just vacate and approve just what you're going to do in these long-term issues? This will be the catalyst to solving some of those issues. And that's what we're hoping to do, is to then energize this. But I think to hold up this and say, we can't do anything here until everything else is resolved, I think could be very well short-sighted. We've been at this for a year. And if they can be resolved in 2 weeks, happy to do it. I just can't get YDOT to approve 4 accesses in
No, that's
6 months.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. And so if there's some way to do that, maybe we do recognize the sewer issue in the area. We recognize very much what happened across the street. We've been in touch with YDEQ, and we're on several rounds of review on that. And I want to say that we're probably being held to a higher standard because of some of the things that happened across the street. So our system has gone through very robust reviews. We've consulted with a local firm out of Laramie that has quite a bit of experience with YDEQ, and our system will be different than one across the street. And I don't know the particulars of what happened across the street. I can't speak to it. I don't know how it was built. I don't know what's going on with what's going on over there. I've just heard things. And so, what we're trying to do is learn from that and design a system that can withstand, the scrutiny of YDEQ and the various other people. But I'm hoping maybe that adds a little bit of color to. I would love to clean up the area. I think everybody would love to clean up the area. I just think there's some complexities to it that we're at this a year and we've been just, it's been very challenging. So.
I got it. I would like to ask this to Eric. I would like to be able to, not in an open forum, I'd like to be able to have us talk to you and maybe Gene in a session. I mean, I'd like to get this resolved, but I'd like to have a little bit more knowledge before I start asking some questions. I don't know if we can do that or not, but
Let me consult with legal real quick.
okay.
Take a break for a minute.
Is that all right, Chairman?
Yeah, let's just recess for 5 minutes. Motion for that.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
All right,
I'll second that.
got a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? All right. Okay, we'll, in what, about 10 till? Think 10 till will be enough, Eric?
Stewart, this is Dave, Jamestown Water. Give me a call as soon as you can, make it.
Call or we're back from executive session for legal purposes. If we can get a motion to start the meeting again.
No, make the motion.
Microphone.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion, a second to reconvene our meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will continue on. Okay, this point, we'd like to hear from the applicant Stuart Grow and see if you have anything that you want to add, clarify, or emphasize to this.
Sure. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Just by way of background, I'm a small-time real estate developer in Utah, and the only way I make money is when I do a deal. And I'm 80 years old, and I've spent 40% of my life invested in a property up in Wyoming. And this is it. I was not a party to the original development, but a number of my business partners in Utah invested up there. And they have all died, and they've asked me to please try and solve it. They asked me before they died to please try and get this thing going. I thought the easiest way to do this was to the 40 acres that's owned by me and by Corner Properties, of which I am the managing member. I thought we could break off the frontage, not deal with abandoning the subdivision and having to replace it, because I don't know what I'll replace it with. I thought this was the easiest way to go. If there's concern that the whole subdivision is not abandoned, I'll be glad to sign a letter that I will not try and press forward any of the existing subdivision. But I thought this was the easiest way to do it. I signed a contract with Maverick a year and a half ago, and as a condition of the sale, I had to inform them immediately when there was condemnation or threatened condemnation, because they have the right to receive the proceeds and their deal is affected by the condemnation. As soon as I received the notice from Joint Powers, I contacted them. And I think they've been cooperative and expressed cooperation that they needed to adjust their site plan, but they certainly expected Project West to go through. And then in addition, I don't own the Rofam property. That is a former business partner, and I'm happy to help with their family estate. And I've been in contact with them and told them that I'm going to try and negotiate with Jamestown to get that property developable. Right now, it was repossessed because it was put up as a bond for improvements in the subdivision 40 years ago. And when it was foreclosed, they foreclosed and turned part of the lots and all of the streets to Rofam, and another portion of lots to Jamestown Rio Vista, none of which is developable by either party as it presently exists. I'm sorry, I thought this was the fastest way to go forward. And I only make money when I do a deal, and I'd like to do a deal with Maverick, but boy, we're having a hard time. What can I do to help?
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions for Mr. Grow? No? All right. Okay. This, if we have nothing else from the applicant, we'll open up to the public. So if there's anyone wishing to speak for or against or in general, now is your time. Just present yourself for the record and give us your comments.
Angela Wilson. So I don't know if we're going to proceed with the rest of the hearings today or not, or if this is the appropriate time to ask some of my questions. I just am concerned not with growth. I think Maverick should come in. I just am concerned about some signage issues. I know the county does not service the road. 374, it is the highway, but that road is an absolute mess. And I think that needs addressed, and some different signage things. Living out there also and being in real estate myself, I am concerned about not having the full development being vacated. I think it should, just to clean it up out there. Because one, if I try to sell lots out there, if he does something with them, we still can't. So I don't know if this is my time as far as signage and different things, where we're at that way.
You can bring up whatever you'd like, Angela,
Okay.
that's fine.
So this summer, when the bridge at 374 was rebuilt, we used that road every day, 8 times a day. So we would have to go on exit 85 to get on and off the highway, which if you're going to Rock Springs, that's what you do. No big deal. Well, using 374 more than we had the highway there, got to experience the 8 times a day on and off the on-ramp. Well, because Love's signage, there isn't good signage when people come off the exit that they need to turn on Covered Wagon, that they think they need to go on the on-ramp, that there's another access, and that's the access. So I don't know literally how many times I was almost hit, and I'm one person, of cars backing down the on-ramp, coming back down the on-ramp, stopping in the middle of the on-ramp, on the side of the on-ramp. I mean, it's dangerous. So signage for Maverick needs to be addressed. And I think we need to go back, somehow make loves, but needs to be addressed that they need to turn on Covered Wagon to then get on 374, because that's dangerous. Literally, somebody is going to die. It's horrible. I mean, people just don't care, and they stop and they're backing up. You've got, people getting on the highway when they were doing the cattle guards this summer. I felt so bad for those guys. It probably could have taken them 3 times the less time to get those in had they not had to deal with the traffic of people backing up, turning around, sitting there. I mean, it's constant, and I'm just one person every day on and off there. I don't know how many times a day it happens. I have pictures, videos. So I would like you to consider somehow signage, doing something different so that they know to turn on Covered Wagon. Secondly, I don't know how we can't make YDOT do anything, but 374 is a mess, which I know when, proposed Loves came in, it was going to be taken care of. It wasn't going to be bad. Their approaches, they have redone where it's been torn up from those semis, but the actual 374 is horrible. I have to take my car in the turning lane because I will blow a tire if I go straight on my lane. It's so bad there. So I don't know how we address that, because it is an issue if we have all that other traffic that Maverick would bring in. And then again, my concern, just as, my own, livelihood of, it needs cleaned up out there in Jamestown. And I know we've worked on that for years and years, but I do feel like what Casey said, we're putting the horse or the cart in front of the horse, as far as with not a vacation of that whole plat being done. It's still a mess. I think, Rio Vista and Mr. Grow and Craig Rude, if they can come together and we can figure something out, would be ideal, because it's just going to hamper more development in the future. So that's what I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I think the signage, Angela, I think that's in the road itself. I think that's all on WyoDOT. I don't, I'm sure Maverick and everybody else will have to go through them to get the signage and everything. So
Okay.
that's all WyoDOT. There's nothing we can do about that.
Okay. Yeah, it is absolutely crazy. It's insane. So.
Yeah. So, county doesn't dictate those signs, right, Gene?
Could you? Okay.
I'll get with you and get.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be
We don't
great.
dictate, but at least if you
Mhm.
got some information, something like that, they might be able to say, hey, can you help us out?
Do some different signage. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
You always make plans for signs, but then until you're actually driving on it, then you're like, I should have done that instead. So. All right. Anybody else from the public? you said Rio Vista was online?
Kale, did you want to say anything? You're muted.
How about now?
You're
There we
good.
go.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I think that as far as Jamestown Rio Vista is concerned, our concern is obviously getting our lots that we own into a some sort of configuration that we can then move on and either sell them or develop them or do something with them. Currently, the Water District does have a proposal on the table that with ROFAM in respect to doing some sort of a land swap whereby they will gain ownership of all of those various lots that we currently own within the interior of that subdivision, leaving us the lots that face the highway or the street. I think that's Ox Yoke that goes into the county park. And those two parcels of land could stand independently of the rest of that subdivision, and that would get the district free from that so that we can move on, and then ROFAM and Mr. Grow can also move on with whatever they envision for their properties. And that's really where Jamestown is at this point. Now, I understand that we have a scheduled meeting at our time next week with Mr. Grow to discuss those issues, and hopefully we can resolve them at that meeting.
Okay, thank you. Does the commission have any questions for? Okay. All right, anybody else from the public? Okay. Seeing none and hearing no others, we'll close the public portion. And I'll open it back up to the commissioners for any questions or comments.
I have a comment. Gentlemen, I really appreciate what Maverick's trying to do. And like I said before, I am a proponent for future growth, and Maverick over in Green River, Rock Springs, what they've done has been great. But as I look at this and I'm listening to all the people talk, Jamestown, yourselves, the county, I just think a vacation until Jamestown is resolved, and I think we should postpone this until all these issues are resolved. I don't see how we can keep moving forward. I don't want to discourage you guys. I think that the prospect of having Maverick out there is a great idea, but I just think, like I said earlier, we're putting the cart in front of the horse until we can get the vacation taken care of and Jamestown taken care of, and these issues are resolved. Then we can move forward to something a little bit cleaner. Right now, we don't have that, and I'm going to make a motion to propose this until we can get these issues resolved. I don't know if you guys would like to say anything.
Yeah, so go ahead.
We withdraw our applications at this time. Thank you.
Sorry to hear about that. I truly am.
Yeah, if it gets resolved, we'd happy to be back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So with the withdrawal, our options have changed drastically.
Sorry about all that.
Mr. Chairman, so a motion was made, a withdrawal was entered before a second was received on that motion. And so there would not need to be, I guess you can, if there is no second, then the motion dies because of the withdrawal of the application.
All right, so you said we had a first, we don't have a second, right? Without a second, they've withdrawn, so that's where we stand. We have nothing else to do with that, right?
Yeah, and just, I guess, let the record reflect that the applicant has also left the proceedings as well.
Okay,
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay, I apologize. That the, I guess
Engineers.
the engineers have left.
okay. So Stuart Grow is the applicant then, still. So it's not withdrawn then.
That's correct. Yeah, so that's right. It wouldn't be withdrawn. So with the motion to postpone, with the engineers having left, the motion stands. Your options are the same. That your first option is that you can act upon that motion to postpone. I would just clarify the motion. The motion said to complete, had a component which identified to complete the requirements or the application components. You can certainly amend that motion to identify that it's simply a motion to postpone, that it doesn't have any additional components.
I'll make this motion that we postpone this until Stuart Grow can
And I apologize, maybe I wasn't clear there. Two different ways you can do a motion to postpone, okay? One option for a motion to postpone is that you simply state motion to postpone.
Okay.
Okay, and I think you've identified your concern, so you don't have to elaborate.
Okay,
And you do not have to include any conditions.
I'll just make a motion that we
Yes.
postpone this.
So, and to be clear, our other options would be to deny or to approve.
That's correct.
Correct. Okay. All right. So we have a motion for postponement. Do we have a second?
I'll second that, and only in to try to continue this process on and not kill it at this point.
Yeah, so we have a first and a second, and yeah, I don't think anybody wants to see development not occur, but there's just too much out there that needs to be done. So we have a first and a second for postponement. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. All right, I guess since Stuart Grow is still here, and we'll proceed with public hearing number 2.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So property owner is Stuart Grow and Corner Properties. The applicant is Greg Day, Hunt Day Engineering. And it's, just as we spoke of, it's the 8.55 acres of land located in northwest quarter of Section 7, Township 18 North, Range 107 West. Its current zoning is manufactured home and rural residential, just because you have that underlying plat with a minimum lot size of 5 acres going to commercial. And the infrastructure is the same as we discussed: Jamestown, Rio Vista, proposed septic, Green River Fire, Rocky Mountain Power, and then proposed access off of Highway 30. So again, this. Oh, they all look the same. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sure they did look the same. Yeah, yep, I am. So. There's the difference. So there's a proposed zone map amendment area in the front, which was interesting. They put rural residential in the front at the time they platted, and mobile home in the back. And so there's some RR, MH, and then that's all going to commercial to accommodate that lot, which will be a commercial lot. Just to show you the proper. So we have criteria for this. Amendment is compatible and consistent with current resolution. You know, as Maverick did state, as far as it is compatible as far as the zoning goes, because there is a existing truck stop that's across the street. So commercial uses would be appropriate for the location. And the topography would be good also. some drainage things and such they would need to deal with, but as far as the layout goes, it would create a buildable lot. It's not on a cliff. As far as proposed zoning is compatible with existing or allowable uses of adjacent properties and neighboring zone districts, previous stated, it is adjacent. Off to the west, it is Bureau of Land Management. As far as demonstrating adequate public facilities, including roads, drainage, sanitary sewer and such, I believe Commissioner Doak brought this up, but that there is no sewer right now. One thing to consider when we get to the final plat would be to potentially require that they hook onto sewer when it becomes so many feet away, once it is placed in, which will be a few years away. And so right now, all that they be able to connect onto is water. They're still waiting for YDOT access goes. There's some drainage plan issues that still need to be resolved as far as the final plat goes. And police and fire, that would be the Sweeter County Sheriff's Department and Green River Fire. As far as adversely affecting adjacent property owners for the zone change, I'm speaking of not the plat or anything or a vacation. I don't see any adjacent properties affected by the commercial zoning and meets the minimum district size in the zoning resolution. Ryan Reed, only comment that came in, had no AML concerns. This is just, again, these are issues with the final plat that still need to be resolved. There's a whole line of issues since we postponed the first hearing. I think it's pretty apparent what we need to do in the next two, because I can't hear a zone change or a plat because we don't have a vacated plat underneath. So that's our position, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any more questions for Eric or comments? Okay. Does the applicant have anything that you want to add or clarify or emphasize?
Well, I sure hope that we haven't lost Maverick. I think that would be a problem for both of us. It'll be a lost opportunity for both of us.
Yes. Okay. Anything else you want to add, Mr. Groh?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Groh, I know the county really does want to work with Maverick. Don't take this the wrong way, but there's just a few things that need to be cleaned up before this can proceed. I don't want to discourage you. I know that, like I said before, we all want growth. So I hope this can be worked out. So I just want to let you know that personally.
What can we do about Project West?
I have no knowledge on that. That'd be between you and them and the county.
Well, but is that one reason why it's being postponed?
No, it's the reason of when you have Jamestown, Rio Vista, their lots and the accesses. I mean, there's some things that just need to be taken care of before that can be taken care of. Project West doesn't even fit into, because they're not one of the property owners. So it's going to be it's going to be them in order to get this stuff resolved, and the county.
Okay, the Planning Commission is aware that we're talking about a 9-acre strip on 374. It has nothing to do with the back property of Stuart Grow or corner property, and nothing to do with the Jamestown Rio Vista interest. In other words, this application only deals with 9 acres on the frontage of 374.
That also goes into both those lots. So I'll go ahead, Eric.
No, it doesn't. Oxbow Drive goes into those lots.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, some clarifications to make. Thank you, Stuart. So I'll just clarify here. So one thing I wanted to state is that Maverick did withdraw stated that in the previous hearing. So just want to put that on to the record that they withdrew these applications. Hope that's not the case. Hope they decide to work with the county and the other agencies moving forward. Mr. Grow did not withdraw. And so Mr. Grow did not withdraw. So that's why we're hearing these other hearings. Just want to state that on the record. Stuart, I think what you're talking about is north of Highway 374, correct? Is that what you're talking about? Those
It's
1 acre
it's
lots?
north and west,
Yeah, that's not a part of this application.
correct.
That is correct.
The
No,
Jamestown ground.
we're not talking about that. That is not part of the application, Stuart, just for clarification. I know where he's talking about, and that's the actual subdivision that did get developed.
Oh, yes, that subdivision to the north. But the ground that Jamestown Rio Vista owns is north and west of this 9 acres.
South and east, right?
Yeah, and south, yes.
South.
But it's a part of the plat still. Yes, just for clarification. They own lots that are still a part of the entire subdivision that of what was being partially vacated. Yeah. thank
Correct.
you. Yep.
Okay. But they're all party of that plat, though.
They are a party of that plat. Yes, and
that-
that's
that
the
would be
issue
vacated.
is that's why Jamestown needs to be worked with, is because they are a part of the plat that was trying to be vacated.
I thought we were just vacating the 9 acres, which was part of a 60-acre plat.
That is correct. It's a partial vacation, but anybody that has property within a plat is a party to the vacation.
Okay, so if I can come back after the January 14th meeting with Jamestown Rio Vista with their approval to a vacation of the plat, and if we could get Maverick back on, we could proceed.
Yeah, and then we'll make sure that in the Project West is the other issue to deal with, Stuart. So our next P and Z hearing is in February, and I can send you the date of that. When they postpone, they don't set it. It's not like tabling. They don't set an actual date. So when we postpone a hearing, it's when you get it done, then we can schedule the hearing. If that makes sense. So, but the next hearing would be in mid-February. So it would give you time. Yes, there's potential for that. If Stuart, you can go and work with Jamestown, Rio Vista, and work with Project West and get those issues resolved.
I think that large list that we have, if we could have most of that, if not all of it, cleaned up.
Yes.
Having
Yes.
stuff from DEQ.
Yep.
Items from YDOT, if we have those addressed, because, you know, if we have a large list, it's really hard for us to recommend approval for the
Agreed.
commissioners.
Agreed. So Stuart, what I can do, since you're the applicant now, can send you a list of the outstanding items and those be addressed. As far as the subdivision goes, they can be done. It's just, it's a matter of whether Maverick's wanting to move forward with that. But yeah, that's what I can do for you, Stuart, to send you a list of those things and then have those addressed so that the Planning and Zoning Commission can pass the hearings.
And the only thing in my control is working out something with Jamestown.
Correct. But at least since you're the sole applicant now, I can send you that and you can send that on to Maverick.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay. Any more questions from the commission? Mr. Crowe? Not, we'll open up to public comment. If there's anybody wishing to speak for, or against, or in general, or anybody online as well. Okay, hearing and seeing none, we're going to close the public portion, and I'll open it up to the board for any more comments or questions. Okay, I don't see any. So that I'd entertain a motion.
I don't know what to make a motion on this one.
So I think our options would be to postpone. We can't really approve because it hasn't been vacated. And I guess could deny it because it hasn't been vacated. So
Just keep
I
in,
see it as two options.
true, that would, I will say this, though, this is what's going to complicate that. If you can do that, but it'll go to the commissioners. They'll make a decision to deny, and then it'll be a year
Yep.
before they can reapply. So just keep that in mind, moving forward. And, we got then we're cart before the horse because we won't have a vacation hearing. Because I can guarantee that where it's going to go when it gets to the commissioners. So
I think we should
Yes.
postpone because
Yeah.
we don't want to put a kill on this.
No.
So I make a motion, we postpone.
All right, we got a motion postponed. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to postpone. Or any further comment, questions? Or, okay, we have a motion to postpone. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0.
yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So let's get right into the subdivision. So we know where this is at. I won't go over this again. Public notice was made. So let's go through the list, just so, and then I will send this information to Mr. Grow. The cost estimate, I believe, is okay. I believe we're okay there. Part of the issue with that was just not getting the right amounts to that. So that has been resolved. It wasn't resolved last week, but it has been resolved this week. The reason for that is I need an amount to be able to do a subdivision improvements agreement so I can require 125%. So that was an issue. That really is the first two things that were related to the actual cost estimate. Drainage report is still incomplete. Okay, so that still needs to be resolved. There's inconsistent errors, just as Mr. Public Works Director Legercy has told me that there's issues between the construction drawings and the drainage plan and the construction permit. I mean, they're just not consistent with each other. Those need to be consistent. There were some issues on the plat that have been resolved as far as certificate approvals, the certificates that were on there. So I would say this is what came from the land use staff. 1 through 3 have been resolved. Excuse me, 1 through 5 have been resolved. 6 partially resolved because of those 5-foot street easements, utility easements, and 10-yard rear yard easements on the following lots. And then, when you get a resolution vacation, that's when you put it on the plat and then you date it and put the book and page on there. So they need to provide on their letter a copy of the plat with the previous lots underneath it. You guys, we were all struggling today looking at, okay, what lots and such and this and that. We need that clarified. So then the outlying issues, Project West and the water, Jamestown water issues. We did receive a certificate of good standing on what's called a certificate of existence in Utah. We did receive that. So obviously, sounds like the direction you're going is to now recommend this approval forward. So I will get an updated list and I will send that to Mr. Grow as far as what's unresolved with the plat and move forward from there. Plat looks pretty good. Just these other issues need to be resolved. Construction drawings, things like that. The other thing is we still don't have YDOT approval. There's a punch list on that of what they need to accomplish with that. So that's still out there. And then DEQ has not approved this yet. There was a transition of people at DEQ. Mr. Barron has retired. And so I'm not sure who's reviewing. I have no idea. So I'll reach out and see where we're at, but I have not received anything yet from DEQ. That is a state statute. So those are some things they have applied. And they're in the process of getting those resolved. There's just been a lot of back and forth. We actually got an adverse recommendation from Mark Barron a few months ago because it was incomplete, the application. And so then they did resubmit and haven't heard anything back yet. So I'll take that list, provide it with them. Obviously, we're not without the vacation and without a zone change, you know where we're at, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Mr. Grow, do you have anything you want to add or?
Just to hope that we can get Maverick back in.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have any questions from the commission?
Oh, hold on.
Okay. All right.
So I guess, Chairman Gerard, Commission, just a couple questions on the construction drawings. Tuesday, I sent a letter back to them, accepted the pricing for their engineer's estimate. They finally got that worked out. There was two minor things that they need to correct within the construction drawings for the subdivision. Now, they still need to correct all the overall inconsistencies between the YDOT plans, the civil set for the building and the subdivision drawings. However, the civil set that applies to the subdivision is putting a vertical curve in their design if they want that to eventually become a public road, and then adding 2 WC3 notes to the end of their road so there's no parking so people don't. So very, very minor in nature. The drainage report, they need to add the 2 detention ponds that they have into the drainage report and combine that all together. So really, from my standpoint, they are very minor in nature. It looks like a long list, but they have addressed most of those.
All right, thanks, Gene. All right. Anybody have any questions, comments? Okay,
Mr. Chairman, did you open that up for public comment? I can't
not
remember.
yet.
Okay, I didn't think so. Okay, that's what I thought. Just double check. That wasn't me asking, just, it was John.
That's where we're going. Just hold on for the ride here. All right, so we'll open it up to the public at this time, for any, anybody who wants to speak for or against or in general, and anybody online as well. Okay. Seeing none and hearing none, we will close the public portion and open it up to commissioners for any further comments or questions. We have none, so at this point, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to postpone public hearing number 3.
I'll second that.
I have a first and second to postpone. Is there any further discussion? No? All right. So we got a motion. Got a motion to postpone. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. All right, we got through it.
We did, and I do have one thing, Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
on time. So Tuesday, January 28th is the Jackalope Wind Project open house. This will be for industrial siting purposes. It's 5 to 7 at the Holiday Inn, and I can send everyone an invite for you to go.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Okay, so having gone through the agenda and having nothing less left to discuss, we'll adjourn.